Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. That's actually quote from two verses, one in Isaiah and or several in Ecclesiastes. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. The eat and drink, for tomorrow we die comes from Isaiah, and the bit about being eat and drink and be merry comes from Ecclesiastes. So the two verses are put together in that phrase. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Those of you who actually read the email I send out each week will have seen the title was Live Now. Or was it Live Now? When you read it written down, you can't tell if you're talking about something being live or whether you're saying about live. So when it's written that way, live now. Or is it live now? It's difficult to see what the difference is. But they're not the same. In our society today, we're obsessed with things happening which are exciting. We watch live television. We love live sporting events. We love live music concerts. We love live political events. We even love to watch when there's a disaster happening somewhere in the world and we're watching things develop live. It's so important that we know what is happening, that we're seeing live what is going on in the world. But I think sometimes in our obsession with seeing the live, we actually forget to live ourselves. We live in a consumer society that always wants us to get more and to buy more, and if only we get more, we will be happier. If we have a bigger car, a faster car, a nicer house, a new coffee machine, a new sofa, whatever it is, that will make us happy. And so we're always looking to the future when we have more and how that will make us a happier person. And if it's not an actual object we're desiring, it's something else in the future. I can't wait until I can retire. I can't wait until I go on that new vacation that I've been planning for months. I can't wait until I have that new relationship, or until I divorce and get rid of that old relationship. We're always looking for something new. That's what our society teaches us. Be dissatisfied with what you have. Look to the future because that will be better, and get more things because that will make you happier. In the end, we end up wishing our lives away because we're always wanting that day to come. As a child, it's on a shorter time scale. Often we can't wait until tomorrow when something is going to happen. Maybe it's our birthday the next day. We just can't wait. We can't wait until Christmas comes when it's coming. But as we get older, our desires get a little bit further away. It's we're wanting for next year or next month or next year, but we wish our lives away. For me, I love being at All Saints. But I often spend time, and I realize I'm doing this, looking always to the future. Thinking, well, it'll be wonderful when we can build a new building. It'll be wonderful when we have a foundation established, a Thai foundation, and we're registered in that way. It'll be great when we have more people and more things going on. Now, those are not bad things. But as Christians, we're called to come to God now. And God is calling us to His self now. We have to give thanks now for all that God has done. We have to rejoice now for all that God is doing. We have to live now. Living in God's peace, living in God's blessings. Do it now. Not what is going to happen tomorrow, but what is happening now. When God revealed Himself to Moses, Moses immediately said, "What is your name? Who is this God who is in this burning bush?" And God's answer was, "I am who I am." Just that God is. Now actually, Hebrew, rather like Thai, doesn't really have tenses as such. So you could translate it as "I will be who I will be," or "I was who I was." But that's beside the point really, for what God is saying is that God is who God is. God is the one who exists and the one who is that God. We don't come to God because of the promise of a heavenly future. Maybe that's there, but that's not why we should be coming to worship God. They don't give out free tickets. Some people think, well, if you go to church enough, you get some sort of heavenly pass and you'll get to heaven. And if I don't come to church enough, then, well, maybe God will not let me in. It doesn't work in that way. And it's no good spending your time remembering and living in a heavenly past when things were better. For now is the time that God has given us. Eat, drink and be merry, or tomorrow we die. Not really a very good motto. I've been trying to lose weight over the last month or so, and eating and drinking and being merry isn't really very useful, because I know I'm not actually going to die tomorrow. If I was, I could eat whatever I wanted to. But we have to live in the present. That's the important point. Our Bible readings this morning talked about taming the tongue. They talked about the futility of empty ritual and how things need to be real, that we should be caring for those in need, that we should be reaching out to orphans and widows. And our Old Testament reading from that most strange of books, the Song of Songs, talked of the love of a man for his beloved, or the love of a woman for her beloved, the love which two people have for each other. And that is a love which is in the present, that wants to be with that person now, because it's a living and constant and a current love. That's why we should be in church, because we want to be in God's presence now. That's why we should go to church, not because we want to get to heaven, or even because we want to have whatever problem we suffer from dealt with. It's because we want to be in God's presence now. We should really have more silence in our worship, because often it's in the silence that we feel God's presence most closely with us. So forget the bit about tomorrow we die. But when we read that verse, eat and drink, then eat and drink of God now. Receive from God now, the God who is present with us and is longing for us to receive from God. Really live, not tomorrow, but really live today. Don't put off, we have to put off some things, I know, but don't put off the hope of the future so that we're always hoping for something more that's coming, and we forget to live and enjoy what we have today. I've always wanted to be the pastor of a church. From when I was a teenager and came to a strong Christian faith, I felt that's what God was calling me to do. And now I am doing that thing that I always felt God was calling me to do. It's so easy that I'm just doing the work, writing the emails, sending out the messages, planning for what we're going to do next year, next month, planning, doing, organizing, but not being in God's presence, not just enjoying being where we are. One thing I love about Elena is that she loves being in Thailand. She's always so happy about being here. And that is where we need to live in the moment, that we can give thanks to God that we are where we are, that God has put us with great friends, with so many good things in our lives, that we can live in the presence rejoicing. For it's when others see that we have a great contentment that they'll be attracted to our faith, because they see that we are people who are happy people. Not in a superficial way, but in a deep way. People who are at peace and know God's presence with us. There is a verse that says, now is the day of salvation. That doesn't mean in the future we'll preach salvation and get to heaven. It means now is the day of salvation, for that means coming into God's presence and knowing God's healing, God's peace, God's love, God's ever-abiding being with us. And so that's what I encourage every single one of us to do this coming week, and not this coming week, but now. And that is to give thanks to God and to just be with the God who said, I am who I am. Children do this all the time. They live in the presence and they enjoy being alive. And that is how we are and should be as God's children, that we are ones who live in God's presence and live in the joy of that God. Amen.